Power Women podcast. For your career and your life, no matter what business you're in.
Hello. My name is Simone Roche. I'm the founder of Northern Power Women. Welcome to a special edition of the Northern Power Women podcast, award-winning podcast, I might add. This is a brilliant special. I'm delighted to be joined by such a phenomenal group of individuals from our Lancashire Peer Networks group. What a year. Seriously, what a year. We're recording this today on the anniversary of what is being called sort of International COVID Commemoration Day. And so I think we're going to talk about, what this last year has been to us and what has impacted on us. And I'm going to bring in my sort of the partners in crime here, Jane Dalton and Alex Cousins. This time last year, Alex, you were in a big corporate job. Jane, this time last year, we just sort of started it. We just embarked on the Lancashire 2.0 Peer Networks group. What a roller coaster it's been for us all, right?
Oh, definitely. Gosh, I can't believe what a year we've had. And I do remember lockdown, happening that day. And I remember preparing for it the week before, thinking we're going to get locked down. So it was all into preparation. Didn't think I'd end up changing my whole life. There was the result, but I have. I've got a great job now. I work for myself. So it's pushed me into doing something that I probably wouldn't have done. I would have stayed in the corporate world. So it's been quite positive for me, even though it's been, it's been an experience for a lot of people, negative and positive. But I'll probably look back actually very happy with what's happened. It's made me do something that I probably wouldn't have done.
And I think that the power, Jane, this is the second sort of group of phenomenal women that we brought together from Lancashire for this peer networks. Who knew the power of community and these peer groups?
Yeah, I just think it's been phenomenal that we're still in contact, obviously, by the power of WhatsApp with the first group with 2.0, and obviously we're now at the end of peer networks, and you can tell it's not about being contractually obliged to turn up to sessions and to input. It's about people having a real strong bond with each other because of how much they've gained from having these people around them, and those conversations will just carry on. To go through something like COVID with a group of people is something you carry through for life, isn't it? And I think I remember those early conversations a year ago, Simone, when we were saying, oh my word, my business has just collapsed, or all of the challenges that the women we know were coming back with, the shock factor and how to get past that whilst giving yourself time to come to terms with it, but then still being able to come out the other side, as we saw these women do, and say, okay, right, that that door just closed, but there are another 3 that I'm going to investigate and see which ones are opening up, was absolutely huge. And, to be able to do that as a community is a very strong bonding experience.
And I'm going to bring Emma in, Emma Wone. Emma, you work in the education sector, which has been phenomenally impacted over the last 12 months. What were you thinking a year ago? And, we'd already kicked off, hadn't we, the 2.0 programme? Because this was supposed to be a scale-up programme, wasn't it? And yet we kind of spent the first probably couple of months circling around resilience, I think.
Yes, indeed, yes. So very much the same as Jane. Initial shock at first, thinking, oh my gosh, what we're going to do, what's going to happen, and all the scale up plans we had, we almost put on hold because with the schools closing, we'd literally hit the pause button overnight. But through the first round of the 2.0 programme, it gave us the confidence to at least continue with elements of our scale up, to the point that it all came to fruition in September last year, with us actually taking on an extra member of staff to deliver a new service that we'd never even looked at doing. And had lockdown not struck, probably wouldn't have had the time to invest in getting that off the ground, really. So it was using my time, but in a very different way, as a result of being at home.
And so much did you benefit and enjoy the first peer network, you decided to join the second group as well.
The second one, yes. But there's so much you can get out of peer networking and peer mentoring. And even now, 6 years into my business, I'm still learning things. I think it's important to always have an open mind and from your different experiences and new people that you meet. And they're the same messages that I give to the students we're supporting school. Just say yes to every opportunity that you get, make the most of every experience that presents itself, and just learn and grow from it. And me as an adult, I still carry that philosophy through in everything that I do.
And what's really special about today's, this is the last kind of gathering, give you like official gathering, because we know there'll be lots of unofficial, of the Peer Networks group, is that we've asked everybody that's on the programme to pay it forward. This has been, through both groups, what has sort of stood out to me is that sense of generosity, that sense of purpose, that sense of everybody wanting to share knowledge. Nobody's kind of keeping themselves guarded or hidden. So I've really seen that. So today, everybody has invited somebody along that can potentially benefit from building, growing, or enabling their network. And I wanted to bring in Liddy. We first met Liddy, didn't we, when Jane and I were working as part of the Northern Power Schools pilot at Lancaster Girls' School. And Liddy, I remember that day sat in the classroom as you and 5 of your peers delivered a whole session to all of the peers within the school. And I remember just sat there thinking, oh my God, there's a role model right there. You've just taken part in the Be Heard program that we've just had, which was creating 3-minute talks, which many of you on the peer networks have all got involved with. What has this meant to you today to be part of this growing network and be invited today by Jane to be part of this peer group?
It's just given me so many opportunities, and I've just been inspired by everyone I speak to here. Coming in, first of all, having the Be Heard opportunity and the Northern Power Women, just the schools initiative, whole thing of that, I have learned so much, and I think it just gives me such a sort of purpose and things to be doing and driving towards, and I've really learned a lot from it, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I've kind of felt like I've been doing something that actually is going to help me, but help others too. So I think just coming into this peer mentoring and this whole network, everything today, I have just having the opportunity to ask questions to people who are going to answer them fully and not hold back, like you said, and just going to give me advice. I don't think you could get that anywhere else in quite the same level, and it's just an amazing opportunity, to be honest. So thank you.
And this has been challenging for you because, last year you've started at university.
Yes, a slightly different university than planned after not taking my A-levels and whatever, but I think it is teaching me to just take what life throws at you and take any opportunity you get, and to just adapt and learn and move on, and there's nothing you can do to change the past, so just take it and roll with it.
And I want to just, when we talk about making changes, I want to jump to Dot McCarthy. I don't think she's got any goats with her today, but if in doubt, Google goats on Zoom. We've talked about Dot many times on the Northern Power Women podcast. What are the changes you've had to make, Dot? How have you innovated from having goat yoga and the yurts, and what's your year been like?
What's my year been like? Pretty mental. So I run Crotched Foal Farm, and I took it over. It's a family farm. I took it over 5 years ago, and my objective has been to turn the whole farm onto renewable power and switch up our farming practices to lower carbon models. So we're producing as much low carbon food with the smallest environmental footprint that we can. But the problem is that costs a lot of money to make those changes. So before the pandemic, we're just trying to branch into other areas of business where we could make some additional revenue from the farm to save up for solar panels and renewable power vehicles and stuff. And we just started doing weddings. None of that can happen anymore. No work for my employees. Didn't know what to do. And came up with the idea, like, all these people, they're well bored in these video meetings. Why don't we let them rent one of our goats to cheer them up? So yeah, it was a joke to start with. Literally just put it on the website to try and get more traffic on there, to get more sales of farm produce. But then it turned out people actually wanted to book a goat. So here we are, 20,000 Zoom calls later.
It's fantastic. We actually, at our Christmas party, our Northern Power Women, we had Simone the Goat zoomed in to the Christmas party. And equally at the Northern Power Women Awards a few weeks ago, we conspired and collaborated for Simone the Goat to open the Northern Power Women Awards. 25 million streams so far to date on the awards. So, you know, hopefully more profile and more. But it just shows you've got to innovate, right? You have to innovate and you've got to look at different, you know, things differently.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just not being afraid of just throwing some ideas out there. You don't know what will work, you don't know what won't, but if you don't do anything, that definitely won't work. So try something. I had no clue that it would be as successful as it's been. It's like turned into a global enterprise. I've gone from just being me running the farm to now 10 employees. So it's insane how big it's gone. And you know, been in the Hindustan Times, the Malaysian Times, national TV in Australia. It's bonkers.
And I just think that's the power of that. And when I look in the WhatsApp group, Jane talked about the WhatsApp group that we have across the peer networks, and you can be running around doing, and then you look and you think, you've got to flash back in just sort of a few days and look at the thread sometimes in that chat, and you just think it's totally utter madness, but it's just brilliant. And, you know, who'd have thought, Tiffany, that, you know, you'd be, you know, queen of TikTok now. You run a business that's over 60 years old, don't you, Renee's, and TikTok, you are now star of your own channel.
Well, one would hope. And one of our TikToks has hit 1.1 million views now. So it's safe to say it's gone viral. So we're hoping in the future, with the help of Adam, who is also on here, to maybe get some more of the TikToks out there and viral. But we've had to make some vast changes since a year ago, when we stood and looked at each other and was like, oh my God, what do we do now with a shop that is full of summer clothes and we're just about to shut? So we've made some massive changes in that time.
And what will you keep? You know, you're obviously going to keep TikTok if you're going to keep going viral. You know, Dot's going to keep on with the goat zooms. What are you going to retain, if you like, going forward as we, you know, I know there's a real obsession about building back better. I think we definitely subscribe more in Northern Power Women land to build forward better. I think this is an opportunity to change and do things, you know, sort of that are more kind of creative and more in keeping with how we want to work in the future. So what will you keep? What will you keep on your shelf?
I think we'll keep everything. I think it's made us have to change. Like a lot of people, you have to change. Our model of the business has completely changed from what it was 1 year ago. We're now online. We do TikToks, we do social media, we do virtual sales. It's just all these things. It's that virtual side that we cannot lose now, and which we've got a following for, which we'll be keeping going as well as when the shop reopens. So we'll have the two sides of it, and let's hope that works.
And Susanna, over to you. The production business, you know, events business, that totally ceased, didn't it? And you were with Emma on the 2.0 program when we started that in, you know, last year, over a year ago. And, you know, we're starting the scale up journey. Must have thought, well, how on earth you know, why should I be on this scale up program if I don't even know when's the next time we're going to be able to gather or broadcast together? What did you feel?
Well, yeah, exactly that was totally it, Simone. So, you know, literally a lot of our events, we were halfway through our biggest contracts and it just all fell through the floor. You know, we had really nothing at all. So, but in a way it was, I know it doesn't sort of feel like it was lucky, but it kind of was lucky because I'd just gone on to the 2.0 program and I was thinking, this is supposed to be about growing my business. I don't even know if I've got a business here actually, but you know, actually I did have time. And so that was a bit of a blessing. So it did allow me to really properly look at my business. And there were so many elements on that program that I was able to, and I think, I don't know, I was just in a mindset to just go, do you know what? I'm just going to do it all. I'm just going to do everything that I'm sort of told to here. And so I did all the, you know, when I was invited onto things, I'd almost been a very quiet business. And I think sort of, I know your mantra is kind of shout from the rooftops, and I'd never really done that. But you kind of put me on a rooftop and made me shout a little bit. And actually that was brilliant, because once you sort of get the hang of shouting a bit, it's quite good fun. You start shouting a bit more. And so many things really, from taking on funding to shouting from the rooftops, and just pivoting, taking new ideas, as Dot has just said before, throwing ideas out there and then actually acting on them, which I've been able to do as well. And all of those things combined, I think, have just helped me get through it and start to grow again, hopefully. So fingers crossed.
I think definitely there's been a lot of rooftops we've been traversing, haven't we, over the last months? And again, that's something else that I see is that that's almost like that real, it is the ultimate, like, sort of cheerleading. Gosh, that probably doesn't sound the right phrase, but that is that ultimately I see you all shouting about each other, supporting each other. We've all seen, it's International Women's Month. You see the whole women lifting each other up. God, it's, if you could touch that, if you could bottle that, that's what it is in this group. So, and I think that's what I see. I think it's just so brilliant today to see, you've all brought guests with you. So what would you want to pass on? What knowledge, what lesson would you want to pass on to those at the start of their career, future entrepreneurs? What would that advice be, Liz? I know you've got lots of wisdom in there.
I knew you were going to ask me, Simone, for this one. Yes, it would take me a very long time actually to give you all my tips. However, there's a couple of tips that are very, very important. I've been in business 25 years. And I started the business because I wanted to make lives better for farmers. And I felt back then I could do that. And I'm still on that treadmill, still trying to do it now. I'm succeeding. You have to be very, very patient in business. One of the things that I wasn't as conscientious about with my business was looking after the intellectual property. It's all very boring doing this sort of thing, but if you've got a great idea or a few great ideas, absolutely look after them. Tie them down as well as you can so that they are yours, because it can have a very damaging effect if you don't do that. And the second one is, and this is for business entrepreneurs and young people who go into businesses and they're a key player in that business. So an employee, but a key player. Help to look after the cash in the business. And as an employee, you stand out if you're trying to look after the cash, because a lot of people don't. It's somebody else's cash. It doesn't matter. I get paid at the end of the week. But having that attitude and approach to business will make you into a business person. So as an entrepreneur, again, look after the cash. That is got to be the strongest message. And there's a third little message. If you want to approach a bank to let you have some cash, make sure you've already got some to start with, because a bank manager will lend you cash if you've got a bit there already. He's not so keen if there isn't any there in the pot to start with. So the cash thing is very, very important. And just lastly, I mean, as those entrepreneurs have said, you learn every day. And I've been in business 25 years and I'm still learning. And the pivot that we've managed to do through COVID has actually transformed our business. We're much slicker, much faster. We reach our market faster because we're using e-commerce. We're still a long way to go, so we're still learning. But the whole thing of COVID's been very difficult, but actually it's made us all look at our businesses and say, how can we change this for the better?
Wow. Gosh, who better to ask for that wisdom? Rachel, tell us about your business and tell us what advice you will be passing on.
Thanks, Simone. So basically, I develop virtual reality apps for countries, and we mainly focus on the travel industry. So what I would advise young entrepreneurs is to always challenge yourself. Don't be afraid of taking risks. Put yourself out there, and opportunities will come to you. Because I'm very new. I don't really have a background in business. My business is actually only about a year old. But I was, in the very beginning, I was very afraid. I was intimidated by all these amazing business people. I always felt like, they didn't have the time for me, or they wouldn't want to engage with me. But I was very wrong. I went on LinkedIn, I optimized my profile, I reached out to people, and everyone was so welcoming. Everyone was very happy to help me. So I would say definitely get out of your comfort zone. You only grow if you put yourselves in situations that challenge you. Also, the second advice I would give is to surround yourself with people that support you, that uplift you, like this amazing band of women. Find all these peer networks, join the Northern Power Women, because women are here to support you and uplift you. And I'm very grateful to be part of this amazing cohort. So yeah, that is what I would tell future entrepreneurs.
Wow, that's amazing. Jane, how do you feel after that?
Oh, just really, really proud of what we brought together here. And gosh, Rachel, I have to say that conversation is very different to some of the ones we've had through this process about levels of confidence and everything else. And you're absolutely right. It's a really scary journey for anybody starting their career, whether that's after a second career or whether that's right after university or school, to come into this world of entrepreneurship and think, how can I possibly navigate all of this? But, you know, there are so many different ways into owning your own business. You can forge your own. You don't have to go and be the next Richard Branson. You know, this is about finding your own path. Somebody else will have been there before you that can support and advise. So always reach out. And, you know, I think Northern Power Women is a fantastic place to start, because I've never had a negative conversation with anybody as part of that network. It's always been hugely helpful, and there is a massive openness. So would definitely second that. And you know, Liddy, everybody at the start of their journey who's going into this, it's absolutely crucial to have that confidence. Just take that first step, that first leap of faith. Go out there and do what you're going to do, because you know, we don't know, any of us, what our careers are going to look like in 10 years. But the point is to just give it a go and start somewhere.
Wow. And Alex, you've been driving this tractor, haven't you, through the last few months of this peer network. I mean, goodness knows what everyone felt when that weekend, when they all had calls from Alex Cousins. Who is this crazy scouser that's just who's jumped into my world and telling me that giving that 3 hours a week is going to be beneficial? You must feel chuffed to bits.
Oh, it's been brilliant. It's been a privilege, actually, to meet everyone. It was funny at first. I was worried that you wouldn't understand the Scouse accent, so I was and my dialect, but I think we got through that. And it's been great to just see people really gel and really help each other out. It's not about being an expert in anything. It's about bringing out everyone's skills and getting them to start linking into each other so that they could all help each other as a peer network. And it is proven that peer networks are the best bit of business support going. You know, you can go on courses and stuff like this, and you can go and get advice from experts, but having a network takes you through life. And it is always that saying about it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think we've had a really generous set of women here this time, trying to help each other out and give each other business or develop new ideas. And obviously, as a business developer by trade, I love that. And also we've been helpful to get we've had like the Northern Power Women coming in. The Jodie Hill's been in offering some advice. Sue Bernard, Elaine from the FSB, the British Bank. So we've had all people coming in, whichever issues we might have raised, we've been able to reach out to someone in our network and bring them in. So I think that's brilliant. But I've learned so much myself. So it's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it, and I thank everyone.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? I think some of the advice we've just had, I mean, in a world where we're so disconnected and connected at the same time right now, I think that this whole you're never on your own, you can always ask for help, shout and share everyone's stories. This is about storytelling. Look after the cash, otherwise Liz will be after you, you know. But it's never be alone. And I think I want to wrap up with you know, I just think it is amazing. And when I hear, just for example, you know, this week that Tiffany has been in to one of Emma's school and spent a whole day doing back-to-back interviews, you know, and this is a time where we're all a bit time shy and we're all, you know, absolutely overwhelmed with Zoom calls and Teams calls or whatever it may be. don't even get time to walk around the block, but you are taking the time out today. You're taking the time out to bring someone with you. You know, everyone, the sum of all those parts, if we all do one small thing for someone else, the sum of all that is absolutely phenomenal, and it's immeasurable. So to hear what you did yesterday or this week, Tiffany, you know, go into the school. I know Emma and those young people will be massively grateful. So it's find your space wherever you've all got something that you can pass on. And I kind of want to come and just finish off with the reasons to be cheerful. What are the reasons to be cheerful kind of going forward? It's not about what we can't do, it's about what we can do. And together, I don't think I've seen any of you stall with anything. So give me a reasons to be cheerful. Dot, go on. There's got to be one there.
Well, this is a good one that's very much tied in with peer networks. So we had the Goats on Zoom idea right at the beginning of the pandemic, but a new idea had sort of been brewing in my head only about a month ago was, what about like nobody can share special messages at the moment in person, can they? Like maybe you're pregnant, or maybe you're getting married, or maybe you've got a promotion and you saying it over a Zoom call is a bit boring. You want to have it like, you know, a bit more special. So I was like, I wonder how we could use the goat calls to do that. And I came up with the idea of writing on edible paper with edible ink, but I didn't know if I could feed that to the goats. And Liz, who is in the peer network group, used to be an animal nutritionist. So I was like, hey, Liz, you know, this is my idea. How would it work? What about this edible paper and the nutrition of the goats? Will it be a bad thing? Will it be a good thing? She's like, actually, no, the goats will love that and it'll be good for them. So since having that conversation, implemented the idea, and so far, literally, this is from 3-4 weeks ago, we've earned £10,000 off the back of that idea. So cheers, Liz. Nice one.
You're welcome.
Liz, what's your reason for to be cheerful, apart from Dot watching the cash?
Yes, well, I'm delighted with Dot. I mean, I always say that there's so many opportunities, you know, and opportunities usually sit there behind some sort of a problem. So problems bring opportunities, and it's just a matter of how you look at the problem to say, yeah, but if we did it that way, it's actually an opportunity because nobody's doing that. Which is exactly what Dot just did then. I had the knowledge about paper being edible, or certain types of paper are edible. And she just knew where to ask for the information, and it was done. So my reasons to be cheerful are that there's still absolutely stacks of opportunities out there. And most of them hide behind problems. So let's go and do it. Let's find those opportunities. What problem are you going to solve, Emma?
I don't know whether it's a problem or not, but it's certainly something to be cheerful about, is just being thankful. Thankful for my wonderful team that have stuck by us over the last 12 months, the fabulous support networks that we've built up through 2.0 and peer networks, and then the people that have literally lived and breathed everything I've done over the last 12 months, which is my family that literally sit and watch and listen to me do Zoom calls and business deals.
Rachel, what's yours? Thanks, Emma.
As Liz said, the whole pandemic has sort of forced us into a different direction. We're now producing paid apps for the Oculus store, and that has opened up so many other doors because now that it's portable, we're looking into avenues like education, bringing headsets into care homes, and this is something that I've always wanted to do anyway, but it's just that the pandemic has sort of sped up all these sort of processes, and it's made me think about so many other avenues as well. So definitely a lot of things to look forward to, because change is always happening. In fact, the only thing constant is change. So we shouldn't be afraid of change. We should embrace it and try to make the best out of it. And that's what I'm going to do.
Brilliant. With change comes great opportunity, doesn't it? For sure. Tiffany, what's your reason to be cheerful?
I'm just looking forward to the future, really. The new Reenies that we've had to change in the pandemic, and just carrying that forward and seeing what the new changes bring and how it will bring the shop forward and the online forward and open up hopefully new opportunities. So yeah, really looking forward to it, and that we've survived a year in the pandemic and we're still standing.
Well, if Alex Cousins keeps shopping, I'm sure she'll keep you going for the rest of the year.
And the rest of you, if you want to.
That was definitely one of my highlights of this year. You discovering getting dressed, because obviously the very first bit, everyone was taking advantage of being working in their pajamas and stuff. It got to a point where you think, no, I really need to start getting dressed again. So yeah, thank you, Tiffany, for
you're welcome.
giving me inspiration.
You've made Alex Cousins respectable. Who knew? Who knew? Susanna, what's your reason to be cheerful?
I think for me, it's a bit about karma. What goes around comes around. I think, invest in stuff personally and it will come around. We got a new client this morning, and from a lady that I'd literally had spoken to about 5 years ago, and it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, it might not be in the next 6 months, but it will come around at some point. Whatever you invest in, it will pay off at some point. So yeah, just remember that karma.
And congratulations, that's great news. Jane, Alex, it's been a journey, hasn't it? And I'm just really delighted to be hosting today's Northern Power Women special podcast, sponsored by our Be Heard campaign. Jane, what's your highlight of wisdom of your reflection and being cheerful?
Oh boy, I think there's so many reasons. Very, very pleased to be part of this group. But I think it's made me personally so much bolder. I knew what I thought before all of this. I wasn't quite as good as I should have been about taking that voice and making it heard everywhere. And I think we all have to find our own way, whether it's written, whether it's on video, audio, whatever. But yeah, I've just had the courage of my convictions much more, told people directly how it is or how I feel it should be. And people are listening. So that's really, really good.
Thanks, Jane. And Alex?
Collaboration. I just love when the dots join together, and I can see all these different bits of collaboration that's going on between the peers networks and with myself as well. So business developer, I can't help myself, can I? Taking opportunities from problems, as Liz just said, and I can just see loads of opportunities and the right mentality to do it. So really, really things to be cheerful about.
And I'd like to also high five Nina Lockwood and Alison Watson as well, who couldn't join us today, but equally, and Nazreen equally, all part of the Peer Networks group. It has been an absolute joy. It's been a joy to just hang out with you this morning and just to hear your reflections, your advice, your guidance, your support. It's definitely, for me, about the joining of those dots, seeing what is possible, seeing that what can happen. And you know what? If this group hadn't have happened, if this peer network hadn't have come together, then some of those opportunities would never have been found. We would never have met some of you today who've joined on the conversation as well. So I urge you all to shout from the rooftops. If you don't want to shout about yourself, even though you should, it's really important to high five yourself, then shout about others. Pay it forward, make a difference, and be generous with your skills and your time. Thank you so much for joining us on the Northern Power Women podcast. We look forward to seeing you next time.